All right, what's good, BYL? What is good? Season 5, Week 4 Power Rankings. Another Sunday, another edition of the Power Rankings for BYL, Build Your Legacy. It's an online college football dynasty where we start from lower tier teams and move our way up. Shout out to everybody, whoever's in the chat, whether you are a user in our league, whether if you're somebody who just follows the league, shout out to you. I feel blessed like Clemson, man. Going to the ACC title game. We're not going to talk about it, though. But yeah, so today we're going to be going over the rankings. Obviously, we have the 5-man committee. We're going to be talking about what teams rose, which team fell, where you were ranked last time. And when I say last time, that means in the preseason rankings in comparison to where you are now, your highest vote and your lowest vote. So let me tag everyone in the chat, and then without further ado, we'll get started. All right. So let's get right into it, man. I will kick us off. Number 28, we have Charlotte. Me and him kind of got off on a rocky start. Just found out he's a South Carolina Gamecocks fan, so I don't have much nice things to say about him. He's at 28 for a reason because he's a Gamecocks fan. No, I'm just playing. But he's number 28, highest vote 25, lowest vote 28. Rough start to his BYL career, obviously winless so far. Moves back 4 spots from 24. Hopefully he can turn it around, and hopefully South Carolina doesn't make the playoffs.
They definitely not. At number 27, we have Minnesota. Rocky start again, 0-4. I think he's only played 2 games so far this season. Has some things going on again. Was out of town for the holidays. Man, hopefully he comes back, man, and starts playing his games. This was somebody that was fun to watch play and play against the first few seasons. And he's just been MIA for a season and a half now. So hopefully he comes back and gets this thing rolling.
Number 26, we have Georgia Southern. Coach Zachary Madur. He moves up 1 spot from 27 to 26. His highest vote is 21. So somebody on the committee thinks highly of him being at 21, while the others are at 27. So I do want everybody to kind of understand how this works. So you see his lowest vote was 27 and his highest vote was 21. He ended up at 26. So the chances are more people had him at 27 or 26 and at 21. So that's when you can kind of see where the outlier is. If somebody has a person at 21, but he ends up at 26, and you can kind of tell by the highest and lowest votes where the consensus kind of fell as far as that goes. But Coach Zach Madar ends at 26.
At number 25, we have Buffalo. A rocky start for the coach, most improved of the year. Out of conference though, so he hasn't played a conference game yet. I think he might be 1-0 now. I think he won his first game against Kent State today, so he's going to be able to pick it up, and he seems like one of the favorites right now, considering Toledo also lost today as well. But 24 and 26, he's around in that middle area, so seems like we kind of all had him in the same spot. But I expect him to pick it up.
24, we have UTEP, highest vote 22, lowest vote 28, another new user. I know he had a rocky start. I think he started off 0-3 with 3 blowout losses, if I'm not mistaken. But he did win a game in conference, obviously, which boosted his stock up a bit as we head into the Week 4 rankings. So hopefully he can continue building. He's in a good pipeline. I know he said he's not really a fan of the team that he chose. So hopefully he's able to build this team into something that he does like. 1-3 is not the worst case scenario. Obviously you're 500 in conference, so you're in a tough conference. You're just gonna have to keep chugging along.
At number 23, we have USF, 0-4 and 0-1 in conference. He got a lot of preseason hype with his roster and the things that he could be able to do with his team coming into the season. And he's fallen to 23. The highest vote was 22, lowest was 26. So we kind of all were in the same realm of this spot where he's at. And hopefully he picks it up. I'm not sure if he played his game this week or not, but I mean, 0-4, they might be wanting to get him up out of there. That's a good team. And the job security don't seem like it's a spot where you want to lose a lot of games at, being in South Florida. So 23 for him, dropped 14 spots from the preseason.
His job security is currently at 90%. So he's at 90% right now. All right. Number 22, we have Hawaii. Highest vote 20, lowest vote 26. 1-3, 0-0 in conference. So obviously tough sledding when it comes to out of conference play, but he hasn't touched a conference, a conference opponent yet. He did move up 3 spots from preseason. And I think more of that is due to people who lost, not so much what he's done. Obviously, being 1-3 is not where he wants to be, but there's a plethora of winless teams. So he was able to kind of creep up by getting that one out of conference win, and now he has to lock in for the rest of his season as he has 8 straight conference opponents. So hopefully he's able to continue building. This is season 5 now on the island. So hopefully his job security is at an 83. So he's still fine. Overall record is 21-34 with Hawaii, so a little bit under 500. So he definitely needs to pick it up a bit. But it's hard to recruit there. So he's still, trying his best to kind of turn that program around.
Yeah, at number 21, we have Army. Highest vote 19, lowest is 23. Moves up 5 spots from his last ranking in the preseason. Sits at 1-2 and 0-1 in conference. He's still trying to figure this team out. I've seen him running the Army playbook. That's kind of difficult when people kind of adjust really fast in this league. We've seen it with UNLV whenever he was running the Air Force playbook. It was kind of it works at first, and then people would kind of adjust fast. I kind of think people playing UNLV for all those seasons and him coming over to Army using the same caliber playbook, people already kind of know what to expect because he was winning a lot more games whenever he was at UTSA and using their playbook. So maybe it's just a playing style for him. We'll have to see moving forward, though.
And I do want to say Charlotte is ranked number 28. His job security is at 0%, and he's on hot seat red. So I don't know what that means. He's 0-5. I don't know if he gets fired during the year. I don't know how that works. This is the first time we've seen somebody at 0%. So I guess we'll see. Army is at 54%. He is also on the hot seat. He's tinkering with the hot seat. So these coaches definitely got to turn it around. Number 20, we have Coach Grundy at Liberty. He moves back 4 spots from 16 at the preseason. He's 1-3, 0-0 in conference. Another user who has not touched a conference opponent. Highest vote at 18, lowest vote at 23. Liberty's obviously in a really tough conference, being in the Pac-12. But he's at a 99% job security. So even though he's 1-3, he's shown that he's his overall win percentage at Liberty is above 500. So it could just be a down year for him. I know recruiting hasn't really been his strong suit at this school. Virginia is not the best pipeline, but he's definitely going to have to turn it around because 1-3 is not where he wants to be. And I think with 3 losses in the Pac-12, unless he wins the conference, I don't think playoffs are in his future for this season. He definitely is going to have to win the conference. So Grundy's going to have to turn it around.
Hold on before we get to this one. This is no shot at Liberty, but we really haven't seen Marshall struggle a whole bunch in that same type of recruiting pipeline because they're both in Virginia, right?
I think
I'm not mistaken. They are both in Virginia.
Marshall. Where is Marshall? Marshall is in West Virginia.
Oh, okay. So I've seen Marshall when it comes to when we get to the portal, I see a bunch of big caliber names wanting to go to Marshall. I don't know why we don't see them going to Liberty. It's kind of the same type of pipeline area, so that kind of threw me off a little bit because I've never seen Grundy outside of the top 100 when it comes to recruiting. He's always like one of the worst ones, and it's crazy. But I'll go on the next one, man. At number 19, we have Utah State, 1-3, 1-0 in conference. Unfortunately, he won't be with us for the remainder of the season. He has a lot of stuff going on, but he'll still be taking part in these rankings. A lot of the users have to play his team still because he's out for the whole season. So he's going to be on autopilot. So I'm pretty sure some people will drop some games to him. I'm not sure if he plays any CPU games or anything, but at 19, we'll see him next season, though.
Number 18, we have App State, moves back 6 spots. He was a number 12 user heading into the season on the preseason. Really good team. I think 89 or 90 overall team. His highest vote's 15, lowest vote's 20. Sitting at 1-2, but he's 1-0 in conference. I think when you're 1-0 in conference in the Pac-12, that's big time. I don't know what his record is now. Actually, I can tell you what his record is now. He's at 66%. He is on the hot seat, 66%. So he's taking over with the hot seat. Right now, he's obviously 1-2 and 1-0 in the conference in these rankings. But in the actual game, he's 2-0 in conference, 2-3 and 2-0. So he, as of right now, is leading the conference in the Pac-12, which is obviously a very tough conference. So shout out to Coach Red Smith. I think your season is still in really good shape right now, although you dropped 6 spots in this rankings.
At number 17, we have Kent State at 2-2, 0-0 in conference. Highest vote 16, lowest is 18. So we kind of had them all in the same area when it comes to projecting his team. He had some wins early on. I think he lost today against Buffalo, so that'll hurt him a little bit considering you're 0-1 in conference and you really can't find a way to drop some of those in-conference games. But all in all, he started off really hot, ran into 2 solid teams, and he's still got a lot of football left to play.
Number 16, we have Purdue coach Mike Jones. He moves up 2 spots for number 18. He's at 500, no games in conference. Everybody kind of hit the nail right on the head with him. Highest vote 15, lowest vote 17, so right around the same, kind of middle of the road type of team thus far. I know, like I said earlier in the preseason rankings, he's kind of flown under the radar and a little bit forgotten about in the Big Ten. So I think before conference play kicks off, he's definitely going to have to show up and show that he can compete with anybody in the Big Ten. So shout out to him for being at number 16.
At number 15, we have Akron. Highest 14, lowest is 20. Moves up 2 spots, 2-2, but he is 1-0 in conference. I'm not sure. I think he might have played Wyoming or somebody, but that is 1-0. Still huge. I know there's a bunch of teams in there that he's able to knock off. It's just always find a way to somehow this last few seasons to end up right in this middle area whenever we all kind of have high hopes for him. But at 15, we have Akron.
14, we have UNLV. I think the biggest surprise thus far in the season. One of the couple of big surprises, I'd say. But he moves up from dead last, so 28 to 14. He moves up 14 spots. Highest vote 14, lowest vote 16. We all had him in the same area. 3-1, and he's 1-0 in conference. I actually want to see what his record is now that we've advanced, because this is a very, very good season so far for him. UNLV is 3-2 and 1-1, so he did drop 1 game in conference. But shout out to him, finally kind of getting the ball rolling a little bit. There was at one point where he was like 1-20 or something crazy like that in here. So shout out to him for continuously building. He's again another user on his 5th season with the same team. So shout out to him.
Number 13, we have SMU. Kind of had him in the same realm. He didn't move at all from the preseason. Stayed at 13. Highest vote 12, lowest is at 14. Kind of under the radar like a lot of teams are. Nobody really putting a lot of attention on SMU, but he's very capable of beating anybody in here. We've seen him take me to the ropes in overtime, seen him knock off Colorado State. So don't be surprised if SMU finds a way to end up in these playoffs. I mean, I seen last week he wasn't even ranked, and now he's ranked this week, even though he was still a 2-loss team. So he's still going to work his way in there. I think he already played NC State, so he doesn't have any more user games. So if he can just run the table in the conference, he'll be solid for a playoff spot for sure.
Number 12, we have Toledo. So I think this is the second big surprise. Obviously, I predicted this in the previews, the preseason show. He was my coach or my most improved. He moves up 10 spots from 22. Highest vote 10, lowest vote 13. So we all had him right around the same area. 3-0, so he was undefeated in these rankings. He did end up dropping a game to Georgia Southern earlier today. So I know he has at least 1 loss. He may have 2 now. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, very good season so far for Dane. Obviously, the last 3 seasons have been hell for him. He's been on the slow decline. In year 1, he was in the conference championship game, and he hasn't really been heard of since. So hopefully continue to win. Maybe get to he's 4-1 and 1-1 in conference. Okay. So hopefully get to a 10-win season and, have a chance to play for the American title game. So shout out to Dane.
Number 11, we have Marshall at 3-1. Moves up 3 spots from he's at highest vote 11, lowest is 13. This was somebody that was kind of at the end of the road on a lot of rankings the first few seasons. He done played for a conference championship game. He done had a really good season last year, and now he's on the chances to make a really good season. Now he hasn't started any games. He's in the Pac-12, just like a lot of the other users are. But 3-1 out of conference before you start conference play, got a lot of momentum going. Hopefully you win a bunch of games and keep progressing.
All right, top 10. Number 10, we have Arizona. He moves back 2 spots from the preseason. He's 2-1, 0-0 in conference. Highest vote 10, lowest vote 12. So we all had him around the same spot. Obviously, I'm very familiar with Arizona, given that we played 6 times now. He's in, my conference, and we have a date to play at the end of the year, just like the last 3 seasons. So looking forward to that matchup. I think everything's still in front of him for him. If I'm not mistaken, he's either 3-1 or 4-1 now. So one of those teams you definitely got to look out for in the playoffs. He's been in the playoffs the last 2 seasons. I would be very shocked if he's not in it again. So number 10, we have Arizona.
At number 9, we have UAB. Moves down 3 spots in the last rankings. Highest vote is at 6, lowest is at 9. He had a tough loss to Tulane early in the season, but he finds himself 2-1. Still a lot of football left to play. I expect him to be in the SEC championship game. At number 9, we have UAB.
And he is 2-2, I believe. He might be 3-2. He did lose to NC State the day after these rankings came out. Number 8, we have Colorado State. So Coach Ace here moves back 1 spot from number 7. I know he was very upset with that number 7 ranking when this initially came out. I know he also has another loss. So he's 2-1 under these rankings, but I think he's 2-2 now, or 3-2. Highest vote 5, lowest vote 9. Again, I also want to point out that his highest vote was 5, his lowest vote was 9, and he ended up at 8, meaning that 5 ranking was an outlier. So whoever had him at 5, the other 4 voters did not have him that high. And that's why he fell at number 8. So Colorado State is number 8 here, with a lot of work to do. Obviously, being in the Pac-12, I don't think he started conference play because he lost to UCLA. That's not a conference game, so he still has everything out in front of him as well.
At number 7, we have Tulane. Moves down 3 spots. He's at 3-1. Highest vote is 4, lowest is 8. His loss came to me. He played on the road at Arkansas, and I think he had a big win against UAB. I'm not sure who his other 2 opponents were, but he got his hard games out the way. I don't think he plays Colorado State at all this season. 0-0 in a conference play. Still got a lot of football left ahead of him to try to. I know he's ranked. The committee already thinks highly of him. So if he can just win a bunch of games in that conference, he'll probably get a bid if he can somehow win the conference championship or even get an at-large bid.
Also, again, he's at number 7. His highest vote was 4, lowest vote is 8. So that means that number 4 is an outlier. So whoever had him there obviously thought more highly of him than the other 4 voters. Number 6, we have UCLA, 3-1, 0-1. Moves up 5 spots from number 11. Highest vote 5, lowest vote 8. So same concept. Not everybody, but the majority of the voters had him around that 5 to 6 range. And somebody had him around 7 or 8, or at 8. So that's why he's not higher on this list. But shout out to UCLA. Obviously has a big win this season, being 3-1 and 0-1. He had, and obviously, like I said, he just beat Colorado State, which would have been a top 10 win if this rankings came out later. So he has 2 really good wins on the season. So shout out to Dev Rufus, obviously moving from Illinois to UCLA to his alma mater. That's definitely where he wants to be. So shout out to him for being number 6. I'm gonna go again. Number 5, we have Arkansas, 3-1, 0-0. He moves up 5 spots to number 10. We all had him right around 5 or 7. Obviously ending up at 5, meaning more votes were, on the lower end rather than the higher end. And I think the previous vote with UCLA kind of factored in with that as well. And also with the Tulane, those of you guys who know, it's kind of like a love triangle they had going on there as far as the wins and the losses. So they were definitely hard to rank when it came to that. But Arkansas sitting at 5.
At number 4, we have Washington State.
You're going to go back to back, by the way.
All right. Number 4, we have Washington State. Moves up 1 spot. Number 4, highest vote was number 4, lowest is number 7. Kind of like the other teams, trying to factor in these one-loss teams. Definitely one of the better one-loss teams we have. Only loss coming from Boise State early on. He bounced back. He's been very dominant in his last few performances, and he ends up at number 4 here at for Washington State.
And same concept again. So he ends up at number 4. His highest vote was 4. So that goes to show that the outlier was obviously that lowest vote at 7.
At number 3, we have NC State. He moves down 1 spot. He lost the very first game at home against Nebraska. A very close game. Highest vote was 3, lowest is 4. So kind of all thought the same of him right there. The ceiling, he's already beat SMU in the in conference. He has nothing but CPUs left. I expect him to be maybe the top 3 seeds in the playoffs. So I don't see him dropping a game to a CPU. I think all of his games are done. He just had a big win on the road against UAB. So it's just ceiling's high for NC State here, man.
All right, number 2, we have Nebraska. He moves up 1 spot. So obviously him and NC State flip-flopped, being that NC State lost to Nebraska. He is undefeated, man. 3-0, 1-0. He's still undefeated as far as the actual league and where we are. Highest vote 1, lowest vote 2. So obviously somebody had him at the number 1 spot. Big win against NC State, and he also had a big win against Colorado State. So 2 big wins, 2 top 10 wins up until this point in these rankings. So shout out to Coach Fred Porter, the number 1 recruiter thus far in BYL. And it's translating on the field, man. I think he has 2 losses, either 2 or 3 losses max between this season and last season. He obviously hasn't lost this year. I think he had 2 losses last year. So shout out to him. He's definitely building a culture in Nebraska.
At number 1, we have Boise State. He doesn't move at all. Still stays at number 1, 4-0, and then 1-0 in conference. Highest votes number 1, lowest is number 2. Back-to-back champion, national championship coming into this game, being very dominant this season in who he's played. Had a huge win over Washington State early on in the season, and just kind of been dominating ever since. I think he has, like you said, Arizona at the end of the year, so that's one more user game for you. I don't see a lot of us dropping any of these CPU games, but other than that, man, there's another 1 seed for him coming into the playoffs.
That's going to wrap up our power rankings for week 4. Obviously, we are sitting at week 6, and it's Sunday, so we're probably going to get through week 9 or so by the next time we do rankings. Week 8 at the absolute minimum. So continue to knock these games out, continue to win, boost your resumes. The next rankings might be our last rankings of the year, depending on how fast we move this week. But shout out to everybody who's been rocking with us. Shout out to everybody who's been active. This dude's crazy. Shout out to everybody who's been active. Continue to do your video recaps. We're going to keep doing the attribute points and stuff like that. So, Brandon, is there anything else you want to give to him before we head out, or are you all good?
No, I'm good, man. My allergies are killing me.
All right, we will see you guys next week. Shout out to BYL and all the users in here, man. Peace out.